Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Black vs. Friends with me, Robert.
With me, Pete.
Man, like Mo, do you know where it is? Yeah,
Don't talk about it.
fiddling. I'm out here fiddling with the camera settings. Obviously, the light isn't the way it is, but I realized that I've got like studio lighting. Like this is the regular thing. This is studio light, and obviously it's highlighting man's face a bit more. Cheers. And then I got portrait mode. Hey, it's blurred the background and a little piece again, highlighting the face. Obviously, Apple and that you man can't do this. Yeah,
How you doing portrait mode, but it's still a landscape? Think about it.
don't do that.
Also, to be fair, we are actually on a Mac because I'm using my work laptop.
But you're not using a work camera. You're using a different camera.
Okay.
Have you updated to the latest system?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we're not doing this right now.
That's like Robert was getting all of this stuff last week. Oh, it doesn't recognize me. Oh,
Your hand's too dark.
Hey, there we
What
go.
is this?
stress.
Hey. Other hand. You gonna capture the other hand?
I'm not gonna try in case I get rejected.
I think it does a heart as well. Hey.
Yeah, that's a heart. That's like
Yo.
a thing.
Let me turn it off.
Hey. Why this dude the wedding, bro?
That's a rave thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's so
I've turned it off
funny.
now though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, they got mic mode. Isolation. How's that sounding?
Not as good.
Yeah, no. You haven't got that much noise in your background, so it's having to overcompensate for nothing.
I've gone back to the normal thing. I
Yeah.
thought voice isolation would have been a sick thing, but I'm just figuring out the things, you know.
Anyway,
Yeah.
first things first. Rest in peace, Matthew Perry. Gone, never forgotten.
Yeah,
He'll be
real.
forgotten.
He won't be forgotten.
He will be forgotten.
I don't.
I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna say something, be accurate.
Peter's been such a hater about Matt Perry dying since last week. Saying,
I haven't been a hater.
Well, I didn't know him. Why should I be sad?
I didn't know him personally. And then
Chandler.
lots of people died.
Chandler was a classic.
He's a classic.
How many people died in Gaza this week? You're gonna cry about one guy.
Are any of them friends? Think about it. Will you be there? Will we be there for them when the rain starts to pour?
Were you there for Chandler
Yeah.
when he died?
He was there for me.
Selfish.
Rest in peace, bro. Second. Oh, sorry.
You don't have to whisper, just
Okay, second.
manage your energy.
So I was on YouTube today. Actually, never mind. I'll be silly. Moses, I think you're in the hot seat this week.
Okay, cool.
Last week we did a 1-for-1.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
I don't have a question. I need to figure out my life.
Okay, Moses, my question for you is, if someone isn't excited about spending time with God, does that say something about their walk?
That's a good question. If by walk you mean their current state, then yes. But if by walk you mean their whole salvation, no.
Okay.
Because as a Christian, life happens, innit? Sometimes like physical things may be going on where you're not getting enough sleep, blah blah blah, and then you just want to sleep, or you're just not in that space to be like, oh, I want to get up early and spend time with God or whatever. So I'll say it's a reflection on your current state, in the same way that if you are used to waking up every morning and going to the gym, but then for the past week you haven't done that, then that's indicative of something, whether you're not feeling well or your mind state isn't in the right space or whatever, to indicate that something isn't how it normally is. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're no longer fit or you're no longer like an athlete or whatever it is that you were training towards. So yeah, I'll say if you're currently not in the space of wanting to spend time with God, just evaluate what's going on around you, what state you're in, and what it is that's causing that. Because arguably, in the times that we don't want to spend time with God, is the times when we actually should. It's like when we're extremely tired, to be like, God, I'm extremely tired. Are we more prone to do super stuff? So I need your spirit even more so now than when I feel like I'm in a good space. Obviously, when you feel like you're in a good space, you still need God's spirit. Car, if you think you stand, take heed lest you fall. But yeah, if a whole bunch of stuff is happening in your life, you feel super busy, and you're like, I don't have time to spend time with God. Actually, no, that's you actually need to spend time with God during those times. So yeah, I would say it's not indicative of their walk in terms of overall, but it's almost like an amber flag, not so much a red flag, but I'll say an amber flag to be like, yo, just take stock and address whatever it is that's kind of taking you away, and recognizing that we're not always going to get it perfect. That's where kind of grace comes into it. We're not always going to get it perfect, but yeah, evaluate.
I've heard people say that if you can get excited about a Beyonce concert, but you don't get the same way excited at praise and worship, something's wrong. Do you believe that's true?
I feel like them people need to sit down. Because I don't go to Beyonce concerts. I don't care about Beyonce concerts.
Okay, let's say it was
But
like a
the,
Grime concert. Let's say it was a
but
Skepta.
and this
Skepta's way
okay.
better known.
Like if it was like a whatever it is, like a propaganda, like whatever it is, yeah, that doesn't happen every Sunday. That doesn't happen every Sunday.
You justify.
Bro, like you don't go to a Beyonce concert every Sunday. Arguably, you should be living a life of worship, so you should always be in a space of worship. But yeah, I feel like some Christians just feel the need to always rain on people's parade. Anything that kind of brings them joy and stuff, to be like, no, like the TikTok that Gems sent to the group a while ago, talking about how can you spend 5 hours on your phone as a child of God? Like, why? Why? You made a whole song getting at people for being on their phones.
5 hours is a lot, though. Have you prayed for 5 hours? You been
Bro,
on your knees for 5 hours?
bro, I can guarantee you that minimum you're spending about that on your phone.
Who, me?
All the listeners, all the watchers, all the listeners, whatever, you're spending about that much on your phone.
Oh, yeah.
So it's
Not
just like,
necessarily, though. Don't say that with so much confidence. Not necessarily.
bro, between phone calls, listening to podcasts, watching stuff on YouTube, just sending messages, you're spending 5 hours on your phone.
I think it's for the what?
No. Anyway, it's not important. It's not important, but
Well,
yeah.
Pete's convicted. That's why I tried to change the subject.
No. The reason I can say it's not is because I know I don't spend that long on my phone because of stuff I've set up. Like I only get 30 minutes YouTube, 15 minutes Instagram, 15 minutes Facebook. So I know I can't go 5 hours on it unless navigation, podcast and stuff like that. But yeah,
Like
it's just
listening to stuff on your phone. And when I mean on your phone, I don't necessarily mean glued to the screen, but I
right.
mean using your phone. So even if you're listening to Spotify,
Yeah, fair.
it doesn't necessarily need to be screen time. Because I've set up the screen time thing on my iPad as well, and I'm averaging about 4 hours a day, because it tells you every Monday how much you've averaged for the past week. I'm averaging about 4 hours, and I'm seeing it as like between commute, between doing stuff for the kids and blah blah blah. Even like Noah using my phone and stuff. Like, yeah, it makes sense.
Fair.
But yeah, just some Christians just feel the need to rain on parades for no reason.
So the point I was going to go to was there is that aspect of things where it's like as soon as anyone has any amount of joy, we some people try and find any way to bring that down. My mum was like that. If she sees you laughing, it's like, why are you laughing? There's dishes to go and do. There's something that needs to. When we were younger, it was like, can you not just see me live?
Now,
But then there is also, I think, maybe a more sobering thought to be had, where if for real, like Beyonce's coming to town, and like because we saw how some of those things were. Like I saw one, I don't know if either Robert or Mo or someone put in one of the groups that someone had used. So there was a TikTok, and it was a guy, I think, kicking his girlfriend out because his girlfriend had taken money from his son's account
Wow, I think
to
that was
buy
me.
to buy Beyonce tickets,
Yeah.
right? So there's a level of excitement that's a bit crazy
It's for the
But-
sun surgery.
for some surgery. Yeah, and he bought Beyonce tickets with it. So there's a I think
imagine.
there should be a sort of just a reflection like I'm getting this gassed about Beyonce. You know, am I not to say every Sunday I need to be this gassed about church, but I think there should be or there's room for a sort of reflection on how much is my heart invested in this, that, the third, versus what actually really matters.
But do you
Yeah.
think the way, but you think the way you would react to a Beyonce or to Beyonce or like a Beyonce concert is the same way you should react to God, is is there a different reverence which means your posture and how you come to God is different?
If that reverence is there. And so I think that's the question to be had because it's like, yeah, okay, cool. Maybe every Sunday isn't a concert. And yeah, Beyonce doesn't work for me either, but every Sunday is not a super unique event. Fair. However, I think if I do get excited about something and I'm like, I don't see. I think what I'm saying is the reflection should be had as to whether or not there is any sort of reverence for God that I am either missing or I'm not paying attention to. That means I can get this excited about this. But when was the last time I was excited about God that much?
Yeah, when he
It might
gave me
not
the
be every
funds to buy the
Sunday, but
Beyonce tickets.
Come on, amen.
But it's like in the example of the girl taking the guy's son's money for surgery and stuff. I
she
think,
needs to go to jail.
bro, that's for me. I
pressing
would see that as
charges.
an extreme. I would see
Yeah.
that almost as an extreme. I would see it as it's like and I'm looking at it more so specifically to believers. If as believers you're stealing money to go watch Beyonce, fam,
If you're stealing money to do anything, there's a problem.
that's a problem. That's a problem. But if there's genuine excitement to go see your favorite, so long as the music isn't whatever, if there's genuine excitement to go see your favorite artist, I'll be like, cool, like enjoy it. But if it's leading you into spaces where it's clearly against God's word, then I'm like, yo, that's a bit mad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll say like, yeah, enjoy it, man.
Cool. I've got my question now.
Okay.
So my question is, Mo, there's a ton of stuff going on in the world. There's wars and rumors of wars. There's famine. There's disease.
You sound like Matthew 24 right now, but
Yeah, I intentionally did that. What sort of current catastrophe should the Christian be concerned with? Right? Is it whatever the media is presenting as the hot topic? Is it whatever? And how should we prioritize what we are concerned with, what we are praying about, what we are given towards, considering how much is actually going on right now?
that's a really good question.
I know, I asked it.
And my answer is going back to Paul when he's like, not everyone is the eye, not everyone is the hand, not everyone is the ear. Each person will have different burdens. And within those different burdens, hopefully by the grace of God, all the problems within the world will be covered. And so if you are faithful with whatever God has placed on your heart and you do something tangibly about that, now tangibly could look different. It could look like donating, it could look like whatever, but you do something towards that. Then as the body, we are collectively doing something about pretty much everything that's happening in the world. So I wouldn't say there's one particular focus or anything. I would say different members, different emphasis, different things, and so allow the spirit of God to kind of move you. And your your heart may be moved because you may have family in Gaza, and so there's a personal connection there, or you may have family in Congo because I know that there's stuff happening in Congo at the moment, and so again there may be that, or you may not even have family there, but you're very much about this pan-African diaspora stuff, and so you're very much just like you're aware of it and you're clued up, and you're grieved that Gaza is getting more attention than what's happening there. And I was not saying that's less or more or whatever, but you're just like, one is getting coverage, one is not.
Yeah.
And so you're then using your platforms or your energies or whatever to bring attention to this or to do something about that. Or you may just have a heart for your village where you're like, yo, there's people there about clean water. And so the least that I can do is just send a little £20 so that they can get like a
Shout
little
out
tank.
Bizzle.
They can get like a tank of clean water and stuff. And so I feel like within the body there is space, and there's actually a need, a president for us to focus on different things and not to look down on one person because their burden isn't the same as yours. But to champion each other, to be like, yo, like let's link hands and let's try to chip away at all the injustices and all the negativity that's happening, all the sin that's kind of happening within the world. And just tackle it.
That's good. That's a perfect answer.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, cool. I'm more than happy with that.
So
Cool. All right, let's get into the topic for today. Moses is out of the hot seat, back into it again. Because I thought... Oh, sorry. So I thought that it would be
it's gonna work.
good.
It's gonna work.
Look at this demon, bro. So I thought, because of the date, and I don't know how many more we're gonna have before it happens, but you guys are reaching 10 years soon. So I thought maybe you could give us some keys, some keys to, some keys and some insight into how you made it so far. Because people don't be making it to 10 years, you know.
Fam.
Bro.
Talk about
Some marriages I know haven't even made it to a year. It's wild. It's wild.
But that first question, how does it feel knowing that you're about to make it to 10 years?
It feels really surreal. It feels really surreal because like Leia isn't even 10 yet. And it's like, thankfully that's what you want, a marriage that's older than your oldest child. Within the marriage anyways. And it feels like I do not take it for granted. That's the one thing that I'm just like, wow, like this is significant. And I think is even more so for our generation and the generation just after us. And by the the generation just after us. Because now relationships have lost its significance. When I was younger, relationships felt a bit more significant. It felt a bit more weighty. It felt a bit more like it held substance. But now relationships are almost like underwear. You just change it whenever. Like it's just...
I think social media and like media in general has just created this illusion of choice.
Like it's just and I've got a friend who like gone through relationships and has just realized how much a previous relationship is impacting the next relationship. And I was just reflecting and I was like, we often take for granted how much baggage we carry forward by virtue of going through relationships.
Mm.
And it's like the next generation is almost in a worse position because of how loose morals seem to be, just how, yeah, it's just chopping and changing. And this notion of just no sense of no sense of sexual accountability, no sense of relational accountability. Just do whatever you want to do, talk, and it's just like you are setting yourself up for a fail, and it will only be by the grace of God if you don't feel the full brunt of that fail. So yeah, I am significantly like I really I don't take it for granted. I'm really just like wow, like it's been 10 years. Looking around me and just seeing other relationships and stuff, I'm just like wow, like yo, 10 years. Yeah. So yeah, it's I'm just taking it in. I'm not taking it for granted, and I'm also even more committed to seeing God's hand in this marriage, to see it and recognizing that without God, it won't play out well.
Mm.
Like we both need God in order to do this thing well. So yeah, it's just it's yeah. I'm more mindful of my dependence on God, and I'm grateful for how much he's kind of taken us, and I'm deeply appreciative of Gems because it's like right, you stuck with man for 10 years. That's that's a lot. Yeah.
Question for Peter: how do you think that Mo's 10 years has impacted your? Is it come to 7 years?
6 years.
6 years.
This year. Yeah. How's it impacted us?
Yeah. Or has it impacted? Well, obviously, I don't know how it's impacted. You can't speak for Anita, but for you, have like having Moses as almost like a forerunner in the field of marriage. How has seeing him go forward affected how you do marriage, if in any way?
I think what I so I haven't necessarily even thought about the time, which is probably a bad thing, to sort of get used to it and lose track of time, I'd say. But what I have noticed is I think it's learning from Mo, learning from yourself, learning from the marriages around, the importance of sort of feeding back into the marriage. And I think for me specifically, and this won't be like well, maybe it'll be something someone can learn from, but I have a tendency to want to systematize everything and sort of get on with stuff. And so, like, we've got a kid to take care of now, so I'm like, yeah, I'm not thinking about dates. I'm not thinking about, even stuff like spending time just talking. It's like, well, we're both working, we're both, there's stuff to do, so we talk about stuff that needs to be talked about and then move on. And it's like, that's not healthy. That's not useful. And so, I've definitely learned that much and sort of try to and fail most of the time, but sometimes succeed at, getting better at the still dating your wife, not just being functional, but still trying to appeal to their emotions and stuff. So that much I've learned, definitely. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I think for me, I think it's like even getting to see like you guys' early days, just seeing how real relationships are. Because I remember there'll be times back in the day we'd go and record at your house. Jamila would not hide how she was feeling.
Fun times.
I
Fun times.
was like, yo, is this how wives be being?
She is not one to hide her emotions, boy. She is not one to hide her emotions.
And so it's like, okay. So like at that time, okay, I've done the boyfriend girlfriend thing, so I think I patterned that. But it looks like this whole marriage thing is like a whole new level.
Yeah.
Go be careful, otherwise your wife will pattern you if you're not careful, bro.
Bro. Bro.
You can't hear yourself in the room.
Oh, can I hear myself? Oh, am I loud?
Yeah, you are.
Oh, sorry.
I realized so like you probably can't hear yourself in the room. That's why.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Nah, cool.
Yeah. I think a lesson that has been really significant is you're not like a good marriage isn't particularly one where everyone agrees all the time. There is going to be friction, there is going to be tension, there is going to be disagreements, and sometimes that's healthy. Sometimes having your perspective challenged actually opens you up to a different perspective that you wouldn't have thought about. I had thought, oh, boom, like we're married, everything is one now, so you need to agree, like we need to agree on everything, which predominantly meant I wanted her to agree with me. But I didn't. It didn't always work out. 80% of the time, it didn't work. But it's facilitating space for growth. Facilitating space for growth where both of you are growing as individuals, as sons of God and daughters of God, and as a couple, as parents, as just facilitating space for growth, a willingness to love the new version of the person every day. Even when the person doesn't know what the impact of that growth is in the meantime, because sometimes when you're growing, you recognize that there's a change, but you don't quite recognize its implications. And so loving the person through that messy middle of growth and of change, and facilitating space for that. And again, when there is growth, there's often frictions. You're outgrowing old mindsets and old ways of doing things, and so constantly having to reevaluate and to see, okay, based on how you've grown, what does that mean for this, or what does that mean for that? How do we come together and do X? So yeah, that has been the most challenging thing of late. But I think we're coming into a nice little groove. Kev on stage actually had a discussion with his wife, and he put it in some, when he was talking with his wife, they phrased it in some way that I think Peter particularly may appreciate. So his wife was saying she tolerated certain things because she didn't want to bruise his ego, but didn't real. And this is not the part that I think you'd appreciate. I'll get to that part in a minute. She was tolerating some things because she didn't want to bruise her ego, but she realized that in tolerating those things, she was suppressing who she actually was. And Kev wasn't actually getting to know her, but was interacting based off of what he thought she should like. And based off what he thought she should like was based on him trying to stunt and wanting her to appreciate it for his own ego. But when she started to reject things and be like, no, I didn't want that Chanel bag. Just because you're starting to make more money doesn't mean that I want the most expensive stuff. I was happy with X. He then started to feel some type of way. But then he had to swallow his ego, and he explained it in a way, and this is what I think Peter would enjoy. It's like, he was like, it felt like his wife was constantly waking up with new firmware, but he didn't get the download spec to realize what the differences were. All he knew was that, yo, there's something different about the phone, and I don't know how to interact with it. So it's like there's that continual update, there's that continual firmware update, and you don't always get the manual, you don't always get the development notes to see what is different. You kind of have to discover it for yourself. And for some, there is that delight and discovery, but again, there will be frustration where the shortcuts that don't work anymore. And so you're having to try to do different things, and like the wallpaper isn't quite sitting the way it was sitting before and stuff. So yeah, and when he said that, I was like, that's really helpful. And again, that's comes back down to communication, where it's just like communicating what the differences are, like where it's coming from and how we're growing and stuff. So yeah, the deeper we're getting, the more I'm realizing how important communication is. And I heard someone, you see, when people are online and they're trying to sound mad deep for no reason, and they're like, oh, communication is not key. What is key is understanding.
Jeez.
I'm like, bro, I hear you, but if you're communicating well, you should understand. Like, you don't communicate, you just don't talk for the sake of talking. You talk to comprehend.
Well, you
You
can't
communicate to
understand that
comprehend.
which is not communicated.
Bro,
It's unnecessary.
because he's like, you can talk all you want, but if the person don't understand it, then I'm like, then you're not communicating.
C.S. Lewis would have said this is one of those things that you're the better off not saying anything than to say that and waste time.
Bro. So yeah, I would say yes. Communication, but don't just listen for the sake of listening. Like, genuinely try to communicate, understand each other and stuff. Yeah.
Any tips on conflict resolution that you've picked up over the years?
Fam, I've done it wrong so many times. There's, I think, understanding your conflict style and your communication style is helpful. The sickest thing, yeah, is that I've turned my computer on so that the light can reflect on my face, but the computer wallpaper is Gems getting her makeup done for our wedding. So I'm just looking at it and I'm just like, oh, raw, like, man's talking 10 years ago. Like, yeah, it's mad. One resource that was really helpful is the HTB marriage course. Shout out HTB marriage course, and it's free. It's free. I can't emphasize that it's free. Like, you have to you buy the journals, but the pre-recorded resources are free. And it had some keys about conflict resolution where I was just like, wow, like this is so helpful. It was like there's like three different types of people in conflict. One is the rhino, where something's wrong and they just keep hammering at it, like, we need to go at this to, I think it's two, rhino and
the
a
hedgehog.
turtle, and a hedgehog, and I think there's a turtle as well.
I don't remember the turtle. I remember the hedgehog.
Okay, I think the turtle is they okay, yeah, it might be the
It's
hedgehog.
probably the same. So
where
it's
they,
probably the same where they like go into themselves.
yeah, they
whenever
go
there's
into themselves and
conflict.
their prickles are kind of out, and then you
Yeah.
can't really, yeah, they kind of use their prickles to defend themselves. And the rhino is just trying to butt heads to be like, no, we need to solve this. And so if there's a rhino and a hedgehog, then it's just like the rhino is trying to solve it, but the hedgehog has retreated and its quills are out, so it's defending itself. And then that's not doing anything. And so recognizing, okay, I'm a rhino. I'm just like, we need to solve it right now, right here, right now. Jem's just like, no, I need time to think. I need to process. But so she recoils. And so recognize that, okay, I'm going to need to understand her process and stuff. I also recognizing that I was a rhino due to anxiety. and thinking if it isn't resolved right now, then there's a problem, without just knowing that no, we're still cool. There's tension, but as a couple, we're still all right. And another key that was really helpful is not seeing your partner as the problem, but seeing the problem as a third entity in the relationship. So you and your partner are coming together to address the third entity, the problem. So it's not saying, no, you messed up, but it's just like, oh, right, like there's a problem. How do we come together to solve this? And that framed problems in a way that it isn't personified in your partner.
Oh, that one's so annoying, you know. Especially when you
Bro.
know it's not you that caused the problem.
But it's so helpful because now you don't approach the conversation from an accusatory perspective, but more so just like, this is how I feel when this happens. How do you feel when that happens? Okay, how can we come together to solve this? And so, yeah, no one approaches conflict defensively, but hopefully there's more of an air to explore, to be open, and to kind of see how we can come together as a couple and deal with this. So yeah, that was a practical one. And if you want more insight, that may even be my hookup. I've actually been giving people that a lot recently in terms of marriages. Bro, the way that door just opens slowly behind you. I don't want to log out. Yeah, I've been recommending that to people, just like, yeah, just check it out. Like, it's been super helpful. Even just having a regular, they suggest having like a regular time on a weekly basis to get it done. And then after that, keeping that same time as a date night. So because you've done however many weeks of it on the same night, kind of keep the same night as a date night and stuff. And then they like alternate the date nights. So both parties feel loved. Like, oh, the other person is going to spoil me this week. Okay, cool. I'm going to spoil them next week. And then, yeah, kind of keep it like that. Yeah. So that was helpful. Really helpful.
Have you found conflict resolution, Peter?
Yeah, no, I think like Mo said, yeah, I've done it. I've done it very wrong for a long time. I haven't finished. We haven't finished the marriage course, so I didn't even know about the hedgehog and the rhino and stuff like that. But I think it's what I've noticed has been useful is having a healthy balance of sweeping stuff under the rug temporarily, but then also not making a mountain of a molehill. So when I say sweeping under the rug, it's like everything doesn't have to be dealt with immediately.
Yeah.
Like some things can chill, but then that doesn't mean that you ignore it. At the same time, it doesn't mean that if something happens, it has to be a big deal. It doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't have to be a big deal. You don't have to make a big deal out of it. And it's like finding the balance there somewhere. I think that's been useful when I've got that right. Has been good. But yeah, I think I think it's useful to have understanding of how people process things, because that can also affect if you think this person's just attacking you, but actually that's them trying to solve a problem. You know, then you add another problem to the problem. So I think that's useful as well.
That's good.
How about yourself, Robert?
I think for me, whenever there's a conflict, I'm always, or like I try and be future minded. I think to think that there's going to be an us after this this conflict. Am I cutting out?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounded like the bottom was rattling a little bit, but I think it's better now.
I think I'm fiddling too much.
I was trying to figure out what's going on.
Is it the wire?
Unless it's me.
No, I think it's the wire.
It might be the wire.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
This is fine.
Yeah. I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, I think just keeping in mind, or well, I try to keep in mind that there's still going to be an us after this conflict. So so when we're having a conflict, not saying or doing anything that will cause trouble for the us that's coming afterwards.
Mm.
You know, and yeah, and just thinking like, okay, we're having a problem, but it's me and you forever. So this conflict, it will get sorted. So let's find a way to sort it and deal with it. I think I'm very much a hedgehog. You know, I like to take time to calm down. I don't like arguing in the moment because I don't want to say something that I can't take. We just happened a couple of times.
Oh, you died.
Oh no. Okay.
It's back again now.
Yeah. Okay. It's like having those old school headphones where you have to hold the position. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, and just making sure. Yeah. So I try not to argue in the heat of the moment because it takes me a while to process my feelings and my thoughts. And I don't want to say something that she might not want to hear, or I'll say it in a way that's not nice. That's happened a couple of times. But you know, we're learning. I'm only on year 1, going into year 2.
Yeah, this is it, boy. Yo, 10, 6, 2. Crazy.
Look how far we've come.
4 years
I
apart.
was going to say, yeah, everyone's waited 4 years.
I don't know about
Wow.
we.
One thing as well that was super helpful for me in the beginning. So after we got married, I was on my super Calvinistic bag. I had asked the pastor who presided over the ceremony to disciple me, but I was very much just like, yeah, like I'll come, I want to see you do your preaching notes and blah blah blah, this and that. And Mama was like, yo, like chill. But what he did offer me instead was like a 6-week just like conversation. And that happened right after marriage. And so like every 6 to 8 weeks, I'd just go to him, and it was almost like a counseling session. I would just sit with him and I would just talk. He's like, so how are things going? What are you finding difficult? Blah, blah, blah. And then like I could literally vent. And then there was always godly counsel, godly challenge, prayer, a different perspective. And knowing that he was for the marriage, not for me. And so all the advice that he was giving was for the better of the marriage. Like he wasn't my pastor, like that. So he's not going to take my side over anything. And that happened for like the first year and a half of our marriage. And that was like invaluable. So invaluable. Like even when our church closed, before we came to his house, we visited his church a couple of times. And it felt so like there was a different feeling to have gone back there like 8 years after getting married with our kids. And then him seeing like, yo, like this is growing. And knowing that for me, valuing his insight and his input into my life, where it's just like, there were certain things that I didn't know how to say to Gems in a moment. And so I'd kind of bottle up emotions and stuff, but I could say it with him and I could like think it through, be challenged, see a different perspective, and then come to Gems in a much more wholesome way and try to solve that and process it with her. I advise all the new couples to be like, yo, if you can find someone like that, I feel like I was very fortunate to have that. I feel like I was very fortunate and I don't take it lightly. But I'm always like, if you can find something like that, I highly recommend it. Even if you need to pay for it, like counseling, like if you can afford it, I'll be like, yo, like do it for the sake of your marriage and for the sake of your sanity. whilst you go through that initial adjustment period where your expectations may be met or may not be met, it's invaluable.
I can co-sign that. I think one thing that's been very helpful to us is recognizing and sort of seeking counsel from. We had Zara's godparents who are, much more ahead of us in terms of like years in marriage and years in life, and having that sort of neutral third party that can speak into you guys and sort of hear some of your gripes and offer an alternative perspective, or sometimes support your perspective. And it's like, actually, you are right. And that comes from someone else. It can be extremely helpful. So yeah, I definitely co-sign that.
Yeah, and I liked what you said about finding the right language, and I think it's really important that as you're going through marriage, that you and your partner, you find your language within the marriage, and
Yeah.
that's gonna change over the years. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
learning to communicate and like picking up on the cues of your partner can be really helpful. And
Yeah. And even to that, I would say like almost 10 years deep, as Robert just said, like it's going to be changing. I am still learning.
Yeah.
I am still learning language. Like, yeah. And so certain conversations that used to be difficult aren't quite as difficult now. But then I'm picking up new tips into certain other conversations and stuff. So yeah, like it's for as long as you two are alive, there's always a learning curve.
And just for the people that are like me, don't think that because they say something a certain way, they want to hear it in that way. Because I was like, oh, I've got a formula to this. I'll just use your language and try and express the same thing, express things to you in the manner in which you express things to me. That don't work.
well, one of the biggest cheaters, bro.
The double standards are real. You got to recognize.
But it's also interesting because even when we look at love languages, sometimes the way we receive love isn't the way that we like to display love.
Express it.
And so sometimes the way we communicate isn't the way we like to be spoken
See,
to.
you say that to me and I just hear inconsistency. It's inefficient. But it's the reality, isn't it? It is the reality. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I can see that we're tired, so let's maybe wrap up a bit early. But final question: What is this? You've survived 10 years. What do you want the next 10 years to look like?
Oof. That's a good question. I think so. Again, going back to Neil, the pastor who presided over our ceremony, he said a marriage is like building a building, and every day you lay a new foundation. So it's like not taking everything that's come for granted. You just be like, oh, I'm just going to build from this, but taking every new day to be like, yo, like I will take today from scratch, everything that has happened, every like argument or whatever, I'm going to like lay it to the side and dedicate myself to you. Yeah, I think fundamentally, I would want the next 10 years to look like daily waking up and choosing to love gems. Not just taking it for granted. Like, oh yeah, she's my wife, I love her, but there's an intentionality waking up and choosing to love her. Like waking up and choosing to trust in God, waking up and choosing to dedicate my life to him and to love my wife as Christ loves the church, and to lead a godly life and to like raise godly children and stuff daily, waking up and choosing that. So I would want the next 10 years to look like a consistent, intentional desire to love my wife. Practically, so almost like flowing out of that, I would want, like, obviously we run a business. I would want the business to be in a very good place. a lot more sustainable, a lot more reach. In 10 years, our kids would be flipping out 25, 18, and 14. That's crazy. But obviously, the older they get, the more freedom we will have to just like up and leave them and go traveling or something. So I would want more experiences with her, just enjoying culture, enjoying life. I would want to know her more. I would want to know that we have grown in our faith and in our love for each other, as parents, as friends, both to each other and to other people. Yeah, I would want I would want our love to have grown. I think that's what it would be. I would want our love to be grown. I think the only practical thing would just be writers and scribes. But I have no idea where we're gonna live. Where I don't have. I would love to live in a place like this or this, and no, I'm just like, yeah. I would just want the love to have grown and there to have been a daily intentional desire to love her.
That's good.
Yeah. How about yourselves?
Yeah,
10 years, you know.
10 years. So what you want to say?
16 years.
Yeah. So I mean, 6 years in, and I am maybe only last month, or actually, yeah, only like past week, maybe actually getting a defined image of what I want the family sort of North Star to be, or what does it mean to be a Finn. I'm only now sort of really getting a clear definition of that. So 10 years down the line, I'd like to see that, come to fruition. I'd like to see what that looks like for myself, for Anita, for, all of our kids, however many we end up having. So yeah, it'll just be seeing where we go, following that North Star. So, yeah.
Legacy, boy. Legacy.
I think for me, in 10 years' time, hopefully a bit sooner, but I'd want us to have found what our rhythm is in terms of like doing life, looking after kids, looking after work, and just, I don't know. So sometimes it can still feel a bit chaotic, in a sense of like you don't know what's going to happen. I like us to not be in a rut, but we're in motion, but we're like, it's like when you're on like a mechanical ball, and like those people that can ride it sick and they can just move as the ball moves,
Only you would use that analogy.
It works though. It kind of works. Like,
It
especially when you
works.
find someone that rides it well.
It's a Bobby A analogy.
It's because I was watching a music video yesterday and there was someone riding a mechanical ball.
That doesn't help. I was gonna say I'll be very curious to see, particularly you, Robert and Drea, how ministry fleshes out for you two. Because I know that like historically you have spoken about different things ministry wise, and even when you were considering marriage, you were considering who could you see you doing what God had called you to do alongside of. So whether it's hospitality, whether it's like children's homes and stuff like that, international ministry, evangelism and stuff like that, I know that has been at the core of your consideration, both of your considerations for marriage. And so seeing that come to fruition for me, it's like, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, I definitely think I've got the perfect part.
Mike?
Is it better?
Much.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I definitely know I found the best partner in crime. Like even on Sunday doing a baby shower at your house. We could just do it. And I think that when it comes to like work and ministry and stuff, I think that's one area that we know that okay, we can do this. Like it might take some figuring out how to make it work, but I don't think we ever doubt each other's capabilities. When it comes to that, I think we're we're both aware of each other's strengths and weaknesses, and are able to cover. So like, I'll let her do all the people facing front stuff, and I'll just work in the background and talk to anyone and be very happy doing so.
I hear that. I hear that. Yeah, it's like it's something that, yeah, I feel like Peter's already in his zone with like the media side of stuff and formulate and study stuff. I know that there's something bubbling for Anita. So we don't kind of see that. And yeah, with Gems, I already see her doing what she's doing, the platform. But yeah, I think that there's a dynamic duo sense for you and Drea that I'm like, yeah, I wanna see this. I want to see it, the manifestation of what ministry looks like for you two.
Pressure.
It's particularly because I feel like your ministry is not contained within your household. There's like a very outdoors kind of feel to your ministry. It isn't just going to be hospitality, people coming over and you just feeding them and stuff. There's going to be like you going out and doing stuff. So yeah, I'm quite keen on seeing how that fleshes out.
It's interesting. The international baby.
Come on.
Cool. All right, let's round up. That was great. Thanks for that. Thanks for that word, Moses. I'll ponder it with my wife.
Come on.
Hookups.
Ooh, I'll go first. I'll drop a double doozy. A double doozy because I didn't come last week, so I'm gonna double up. Like
Or maybe just come or maybe just come last week.
So the first one is the marriage course. As I said, I'll use that as my hookup.
Nice.
If you just go HDB, if you Google HDB marriage course, like it's there and it's free. The resources are free. Even like, bro, if you want to go even cheaper, you can print out the journal. Like they give you the PDF, you can print it out, or you can just buy it. It's like £10 for the fanciest one. Each you and your partner would need one, so that's about £20. And I think post and packaging is either free or like ridiculously cheap. And if you're lucky enough to be beside a HDB church, I say lucky enough, if you're beside a HDB church, I think they run the marriage course in churches as well.
Yeah,
so
I think they're even running it at the moment, actually.
Yeah. So you can join, and you're not going to be having open air discussions about personal stuff. It's going to be 1-to-1, but you get the benefit of being around other couples as well. But my second hookup is an old anime. It's an old anime that I am hooked on at the moment. Hajime no Ippo. bro, like I've known of this anime for years, but I only just started watching it, and I feel like this is the right time for me to watch it because I'm not even trying to spiritualize, but I'm watching it and I feel God just talking to man, and it's just the single-mindedness of Ippo and how he's dedicating everything to the craft of boxing. And God is just like being single-minded, knowing what, like trusting in what he's put before me and just being single-minded about it and just pouring my all into it. So yeah, every time I watch it, there's conviction to be single-minded about what God has put before me. And it's a dope anime. So yeah, Hajime no Ippo.
And for you, Peter?
My hookup is going to be, so recently there was a boxing fight, I think last weekend, Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury, yeah.
And my hookup is to actually just go and check out Francis Ngannou. I think his story is really encouraging. He escaped from, I think he escaped from Cameroon to France, like on a dinghy or something across the ocean. He was homeless, all of these things. Found his way into the UFC, got into a conflict of contract thing with the UFC, and then stepped out, trusted himself, bagged a fight with Tyson Fury, and in the opinion of most like pundits that I've listened to, I haven't watched the fight, but the highlights, actually won the fight on his pro boxing debut, beat the biggest, the unbeaten heavyweight champion of boxing from MMA. So yeah, just check out Francis Ngannou. He's got a YouTube channel where he talks about some stuff, but even some of his past interviews, I think people will find inspiration from just him achieving his goals and sort of trusting in himself and making it. So yeah, that's my hookup.
My hookup is a book by the late Timothy Keller with his wife. I think she's still early.
Oh snap! Timothy Keller passed away.
Yeah,
I didn't know that actually.
a while ago.
No, I knew that he was battling cancer, and then it got to a point where his daughter had tweeted through from his Twitter that he's like, just pray for me. I'm gonna go to the
I
Lord.
think we
blah,
put
blah,
in the
blah.
group that he passed away.
That's how you know I not be looking at some of the links, boy.
Of course. The Meaning of Marriage by Timothy Keller with his
Yes.
wife Kathy Keller.
Yes.
That's a really good book. So yeah, give it a look. Let me see when he passed away. In May.
This year.
May this year.
Oh, I remember now actually. I do remember.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah, I do remember.
I might not been on that episode.
No, we talked
No,
about
in
it
the group.
In the group.
Oh really?
Yeah, I'm not paying attention to man. But yeah.
It's okay. Those who all know me. They hear my voice.
You're not Jesus.
In the
You are not
darkness.
Jesus.
In the darkness.
Of course you be in the darkness, demon.
No, I'm the light in the darkness.
You said in the
I'm
darkness.
the light
Oh,
in the darkness.
what's it? Paul says the devil comes like an angel of light.
No, I didn't say I was the angel of light. I just said I am the light.
You didn't say you're the light, you
Even
said
more
darkness.
blasphemous. Even more blasphemous. You are the light.
lantern in the light.
Pumpkin.
Anyway, shout out for the intro outro music. Calvin Turner, Audrey, amazing logo. You can find us on X/Twitter at Furnace, no, TBS Furnace. Instagram at TBS Furnace. You can email us at tbsfurnace@mail.com. You can find us at soundcloud.com/Black Furnace, no apostrophe. On all the podcast websites and apps, Black Furnace with the apostrophe. And that's it. So this is the Black Furnace signing out.
Blah.